Today we are going to be able to choose the correct graph or display that would best represent the data that we collect. We're kind of wrapping everything up here. We've talked about statistical questions. Statistical questions have to have more than one response. Then, with that data, we can find the mean, median, mode, and range. With that information and all the data, we can create 3 different displays. What are the 3 different displays we've talked about in this class? Caden, what is one of them? Dot plots. Michael? Cat plots, in quotes, right? Which is our box plots, our box and whisker plots. Good. And the last one, Jack? Histogram. Those were the 3 different graphs that we have talked about. So we're going to determine when do we use a certain one. Why is it important that we use a box plot in this situation? Why is it important that we use a histogram here to display our data? So what I want you to do in your guided notes is to write, we're going to watch this real quick.
Which to use? Dot plot? Histogram? Box plot? So many choices. Whoa, gotta go. It's getting kind of crowded on here.
So weird. Okay. All right. What I want you to do in your notebook is to write dot plot, histogram, and box plot. Under those 3, I want you to identify A, B, C, D, E, or F, or multiple, right, that will go with that graph. You can use the letters more than once. Well, I want you to talk about what would be the best one to use. It might be the best for 2 of them, but it might not be the best for one of them, so don't write that. So an example, dot plots. Maybe it's C, E, and F. Under dot plot, I'd write C, E, and F. Then I would go to histograms and do the same thing. Do you understand what you're doing? These are our 6 things. We need to identify which ones they should go under. I want you to work with your partner that you're sitting next to. In your guided notes now, the front, they have your answers. So, if you were to carry these guided notes with you, are the guided notes helpful? The answer is no. Why not? Do you know what A represents? Looking at these guided notes. Do you know what B represents? Looking at these guided notes. No, I forgot to add the key of each letter in the notes. Okay? So, you're going to have to write. I'm sorry. Okay? You need to represent which one each means. We're going to go through each one. I don't want you to work ahead because I'm going to give you an opportunity to challenge their answers or see if you think other ones will work. Does that make sense? Okay. If you can give me a good explanation of why one of them worked, then we can put it back on. Okay, but our eyes should be up on the screen. Let's start with dot plots. Dot plots, they have A, B, D, and E. Does anyone want to challenge A, B, D, and E that think they should not be on there? Emery.
I feel like F should be on there.
Which one do we want to do? We are just taking these off right now.
Oh.
Okay? Which one of these would you like to take off? Any of them? Are we all good with those? You want to take B off? Okay, B stands for frequencies of data. Do dot plots show the frequency of a data? Some of you are shaking your head. Yes. How? Dave. Good. The number of dots you have on a number is the frequency, how many times it shows up. Okay, so dot plots definitely show you the frequency of data. The other one, you want to take off. All right, what would you like to add? Which one do you think we could add to dot plots? Alex. F. Large data sets. Why do you think it didn't put F in dot plot? Liam. If we have a data set that has 10,000, 100,000, a million different data, do we want to draw a dot for every single person that's surveyed? No, that's a lot of dots. Okay, so really, dot plots should just be used for a smaller amount of data collection. Okay? Anyone else want to challenge one that could be on there? All right. Make sure in your guided notes you wrote where it says dot plot in A, you write each data value. B, frequencies of data. D, clusters and gaps. E, small data sets. Because if you're not writing that, you have no idea when you walk out of this room what A, B, D, and E represent. You should be writing each data value, frequency of data, clusters and gaps, and small data sets. Moving on to histograms. They said for histograms we should use frequencies of data, clusters and gaps, and large data sets. Would anyone like to challenge to take off B, D, or F? You all think B, D, and F should stay up there? You want to challenge digits? All right. Would you like to add any of them to histograms? Remember, I'm okay with adding something as long as we give a good explanation to why it should be up there. Owen. Small data sets. Okay. The reason why they did not put small data sets up there, does anyone know why? Anyone want to say why they think small data sets should not be up there? Jack.
Because in Instagram it shows like ranges from like 0 to 9, 10 to 19, and it usually is very long.
Okay, so that is right. If we have a histogram, you're going to use a lot of numbers because you are dealing with a range. Okay, so if we don't have very many data values and we're using a range, our graph could look really interesting. They could all be like level. All the data could be in one grouping, and we wouldn't really use much of our different groups of values. Okay, so histograms are meant for just large data sets. Anyone else want to challenge another one to be up there? Did anyone put A? Do we think A could go in for histogram? I see some yeses and nos. Why yes or why no? Liam. Good. Each data value is represented in a histogram, but we do not know the value of each one. Like Liam said, it's a range of numbers. So example, 0 to 9. There's 10 numbers from 0 to 9. 5 of them could be the number 2. The other 5 could be the number 3. And we don't even use any of the other numbers. We don't know that when looking at the histogram. Okay? Anyone else want to challenge one? No one wants to put up a fight today. No? Okay. Box plots. We have C and F. Does anyone think C and F should be taken off? Does anyone think C or F should be taken off? Okay. Do you think we should put one on? Who thinks we could add a letter? Everyone had C and F besides Emery? Caden, what do you think? We should add E. Emery, is that what you were going to say? No?
I was going to say B.
Okay. Let's look at E. Small data values. Why might we not look at small? Why would we not use small data values for a box plot? Why did they not put small data sets up there for box plots? How many values do you need for a box plot? Gabe, you need 5 of them. So 5 is a lot of numbers you need to create a box plot. If we only have, let's say, 10 values, half the numbers are being used to create your box plot. Okay? So they tend to use a lot of large data sets. Otherwise, if you have a small data set, you're using all the numbers to create your box plot that you've collected. Does that make sense, Kaden? Okay. Page. So you said D, right? What do you think? Could you put D in for box plots? Does it show clusters or does it show gaps? It might not show exactly a cluster of answers or a gap in between certain numbers, but how could it show a cluster or a gap in a box plot? How could you identify a cluster or a gap in a box plot? Caitlin.
The distance between one of the outside, like the distance between a box and a whisker.
Good. The distance between a box and a whisker. So how long a whisker is. If your whisker is really long, what are we going to have? Sydney, we're probably going to have gaps. If your box is really small, we're probably going to have what? We're probably going to have clusters. So that is a way to identify clusters and gaps. I would agree that you could put D in for box plots. I'm okay if you put D in for box plots. Does anyone else want to challenge any of these? Challenging? All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next part then. In part 1, I want you to choose. It says each data displays can help you answer each question, which cannot help you and why. So for A, B, and C, I want you to work with your neighbor and to identify which graphs will work and which graphs will not. If the graph will work, just circle it. If the graph will not work, just don't do anything to it. Here we should have when looking at this problem, which one can we eliminate right away? Liam, we can eliminate box plots right away because it says how many people. We want to know an exact amount. So, a quiet drum roll, please. The correct answer is 1 and 3. So you could use dot plots or histograms. Turn your paper over to the back. I'm going to show you this awesome video.
Diameter 24.25 millimeters. Check. Thickness 1.75 millimeters. Perfect. Okay, this one is good to go. Oh, come on. All of these? You gotta be kidding me.
Okay, on the back it says, all coins minted in the United States must pass several inspections before they ship out to banks. A quarter coin must have a diameter between 24 millimeters and 24 and 49 millimeters. Which data displays can show you the number of quarters that are and are not acceptable in the test batch of 10,000 quarters explained. So why do they have to do these inspections, you think, to get the size? Why would they have to do that? Alex? We're just talking about the size of this. The size of the quarter does not give it the value. Okay, Owen? It's not fraud, right? Okay. Counterfeit. Vending machines, if they don't work this right size, they're not going to take the value of them. Okay. All right. Talk about this with your partner real quick. Which display would be best for this? Okay, what do you think? Real quick, we're almost out of time. Don't pack up. What do you think would be the best display for this data value? Caitlin? Histograms. Which one should it not be? I just said don't pack up, and people are moving around to pack up. Which one can you eliminate right away? Lila. Box plots. We don't know how many each were. Why could we eliminate dot plots? Liam. It's a large data value. Do you want to make 10,000 dots? I don't either. Okay? So, make sure you do the best you can on your homework tonight. Please let me know if you have any questions.